Welcome to another casual garden stroll. My name's Erin, the Impatient Gardener. I live and garden in southeastern Wisconsin, Zone 6A. And about once a week, I do these casual, mostly unedited garden tours where we just walk around the garden and I show you what's happening because, especially this time of year, things change quickly. I thought today we'd do something a little different. I want to show you what's happening in the greenhouse. And there were a number of questions on the video that I made about setting up this greenhouse, so I thought I would address some of those. And then we will take a quick stroll around the garden after that. So come on in. Well, as you can see, it's pretty much a packed house in here right now. I still have room on the bottom layer of shelves, but there's not a lot of sun that gets down there because these shelves are kind of close together. So I try not to use those unless I have to. Right now they're kind of being used for storing stuff. And I have a mix of things in here. I've already moved out. I've some perennial plugs that I've gotten. So those have been in here and I've just kept them in here so that they're protected before I moved them out. I planted out most of those yesterday, so those are kind of out of the way. I have some annual plugs, or well, I guess some of these are perennials too, but I have a few things. Like I got a load from Farmer Bailey, so I planted up those plugs. And those are in here. I'm just trying to push these as fast as I possibly can. They're pretty small when they come. So I'm just trying to keep them warm and cozy and just push that growth so I can get those out as soon as possible. They're a little tiny to be putting out in the garden right now. And it's a little early for some annuals still here. I also have some sample plants that have come in. You might have seen some of those in my video, my unboxing video. But there's, those things have either been potted. I don't think I potted any of them on, but here's a load of, I think this is Doom and Orange, sent some really beautiful stuff over. So I just keep these all in here to basically keep them happy until they can go outside. But I also use the greenhouse for hardening things off. Here they get all the exposure to sun that I feel like they need. I think they're good to go sun-wise. The one component of the hardening off process that they're kind of missing in here is the wind. So as things get warmer and I have more air going through this greenhouse, that will be taken care of. But honestly, usually I take things straight out of the greenhouse and put them in the garden. Most things handle that treatment just fine. Over here, I have all of the dahlias. So these are all the dahlias dahlia tubers that I have potted up to try to get some growth on. And it's really interesting. Every tuber, every variety is different. So some are going gangbusters and some are being a little pokey about it. I'm still, 2 weeks from now, I would like to be planting out dahlias. So again, I'm trying to keep things warm in here. I do have a heater in here that is set to turn on at 50. I will say it's been getting a little expensive. I used to set it at 45 and I'm just really trying to push growth on these things, so I don't want anything to slow down at all. So I think we're kind of done. I think most of our nights are now going to be getting to that point, so hopefully it won't be kicking on as much. But this is all this whole side of the greenhouse is dahlias. And then you'll notice back here we've got other random things, some tropicals that I picked up for containers. This is going to be the year of the alocasia in this garden, you guys, because I got all kinds of alocasias. This is emerald green. These came in 4-inch containers, so I'm trying to push them on. And then I got a little nervous because there's one pot in particular where I want a really amazing show. So I did buy an alocasia yesterday, a big one, because I think these will get there. I just don't want to wait. So I did pick one up yesterday, and then I got a cordyline, also known as a Thai plant, yesterday that's going to go in some containers. So tropicals hang out in here because it's way too soon to be thinking about putting those out. The exception to the tropicals is bananas. Those are in the house because I don't want those to I'm really trying to push growth on those, and I don't want those even getting down to 50. And then I also have annuals that I have purchased in here. Now I have some of those, you'll see later, I've got some of those out on the deck. But things like begonias, I just think it's too, look at these beautiful begonias. These are all, what's the series? This Selenia begonias. I just think it's too cool at night, potentially, for these things. Plus, you know, begonias, until they really get going, I think they're a little fragile. And we've been having, like, not a lot of rain, but we've been having these, like, weird bursts of very heavy rain. So I've got the begonias. Basically, begonias are the only annual that I have in here that's come in. Everything else is out on the deck. And then I have other things that I've grown from seed that are in here. So here's my tray of, you know, one of my favorite plants. This is Nicotiana perfume lime. Looking great. Ready to go out as soon as I'm ready for them. So that's the mix of what's in here. And I have had some vegetables in here, but I actually just moved those out this morning because those are ready to go out into the garden now. Lettuce, kale, and Swiss chard. Those are all ready to get put out in the garden. So about the greenhouse, because there were a lot of questions and you guys were really interested in it. So far, I'm just enamored. I mean, I kind of was when we put it up, but functionally it's been working amazing. I have not checked the tubes, but they feel really solid. I've not felt any need. They, you know, like I mentioned in that video, they do say you need to check the pressure in the tubes from time to time, but we've only been up for what, a month or so now. So, I feel no need to, I haven't bothered to do that. And honestly, I don't think we're even going to need to by the time we take this down, because the intention, as I mentioned in that video, is to take this down, even though this is meant to serve as a permanent greenhouse. Which brings up one of the questions I had, which was about snow load and how you might use this in a cold climate. One of the questions was, somebody said that the top was not strong enough. It is. It is absolutely strong enough for big snow loads on it. The whole top is one piece, and it's all zippered on with these super heavy duty zippers. And this ridge beam is as solid as any ridge beam is going to be, as long as you've got it pumped up to the proper PSI. And in fact, HAVN Greenhouse has actually sent me a picture, because they saw that comment. They sent me a picture showing a greenhouse with snow on it in, I don't know, the Northeast somewhere. So I would have no fear, no concern whatsoever about using this out in snow, and I would not be worried about heavy snow loads at all. As long as, this is always the caveat here, as long as you've got the PSI right on all of the supporting inflatable tubes, then I think you're totally fine. Another thing for that video is I had mentioned that one of my little nits that I was picking was that I wish that the ventilation windows were, you know, like higher up here. And as always, there is a reason for everything. And I probably should have asked if there was a reason, and there is. It's because the ventilation moves much better. You get way more ventilation if it opens up at the bottom, and then it gets sucked out by the fan, which is back there. So you get a lot more airflow through here rather than you just be going straight across. So that makes total sense to me. And they are coming out with, I think they're calling them critter shields, but they're essentially screens that are going to fit in there so that you don't have to worry about bugs or rabbits or some other vermin coming in that direction. The fan has been amazing. Now you can't unfortunately see it too much because I've got this giant alocasia there, but that's the fan up there. And I talk in that video about how it goes in, and all these wires. Somebody said I should clean up my wires. Yeah, I get it. These are all connected to the fan. So this is the thermostat right here. Now this is one of these little probes, and I think technically you're supposed to put those little probes into their thermostat probes into like a plant. I just let them hang in the air because that's how they work fine that way too. And then this is if you can see this little black box up here, that's the Wi-Fi controller right there. Which has been, once I got it figured out, it took me a little bit to figure it out. Once I got that figured out, it was flawless, and it runs to an app on my phone. So it's primo. So I've got that fan set to turn on when it gets 70 degrees in here. It works like an absolute champ. And although we haven't had like a ton of hot weather, with previous greenhouses, I would sometimes look at my thermometer in here, this little guy. This is my little Wi-Fi thermometer. 56 degrees in here right now, by the way. would look at that from my phone and freak out because it'd be like over 90 degrees in here. Sometimes, I mean, I had seen like 100. This fan moves the air so well. You can still zip this up and you can still use the door with the fan in there. It's just that if you're a tall person, you're just going to have to duck a little bit. But if you wanted to, you could still use that door. As it turns out, I don't want to because I love this U-shaped setup that I have here. So there's that. The other thing, and some of you had the same idea I have, and I'm going to send this off to the HAVN people and I'm sure they've thought of it. But a couple of people asked the same thing that I was thinking, which is, could you make the walls inflatable? Like you could use this maybe seasonally. A thin, double-skinned wall and roof covering, and then inflate air between those. Because if I'm not mistaken, bubble wrap was actually created to insulate greenhouses. At least that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes sense. And it has been used often for insulating greenhouses. It's the same concept as bubble wrap. So I'm going to ask them if they've thought of that. And if like that's something, because you could easily zip these covers on and off. And so you could definitely put that on for a colder season to get better insulation in here. And then lastly, I will just say that the HAVN folks sent me a nice little message and said, you really should have your ground anchors screwed in all the way to the ground. So even though I technically don't have them in far enough, this thing has been solid as a rock. And I'm telling you, it has been blowing here like crazy this spring. It's wild. So do as I say, not as I do. I think you get the idea of what's happening in here. So let's go take a cruise around the garden so I can update you on what's happening there. All right, well, what is with this video and me and microphone problems? Because I just did a whole tour with you and I didn't have the mic on, so now we're gonna do the tour again. The garden is looking delightfully floofy, springy. All the migratory birds are here. We've got orioles, and we had 3 scarlet tanagers the other night, and an indigo bunting. We've got the grosbeaks. They will be in and out of here real quickly, but it's lovely. It's really, even though like I see a lot of mess in the garden, I see a lot of to-dos in the garden, it's also stunningly beautiful as well. So let's take a tour. I'll show you. This garden has not actually been cleared out yet. You can see I've got like dead plants that need to get pulled out and stuff. But even here, there's like, look at this cool Solomon seal. I got that at a plant sale at some lady's house. Isn't that cool? The Virginia bluebells are pretty much done. We're just on the last bit of the Virginia bluebells. The woods is beautiful too. The ostrich ferns are coming up like crazy. Do not plant ostrich ferns unless you have room for them to do this. We didn't plant these, they were here. But it does fill up the woods beautifully. They're probably 3.5 feet tall right now, and they will get 6 or 7 feet tall by the time we're done with this. The double take peach quince with its tag laying on the ground is all budded up, and we should see flowers there soon. The daffodils are we're on the last bit of daffodils here, and it's starting to rain. Wouldn't that be typical? I showed you this last week, but it just gets better and better and better. Recta purpurea compacta clematis. The most purple plant I think you can find. Look, I mean, truly purple stems. Look at how gorgeous that is. This is the trellis that I got last year from Detroit Garden Works. And it comes as like individual petals, so you buy them and shape them however you want. I mean, I think I need to get more of these. Last I checked, I did get this from Brushwood. Last I checked, Brushwood actually had that in stock. And I'm thinking that I should buy more of those. Because like I feel like I need more of those in my garden. Other notable bits here is this beautiful Sanguisorba coming up. This is lilac squirrel. Sanguisorba leaves are the coolest. Look at how they unfold. Oh, it's amazing. So cool. I showed you the flowerful hydrangeas last week, and I'm going to show you them again now because they are looking just really, really, really healthy. We do have some of those nasty little leaf tire caterpillars though coming in here. So I've been trying to get in here and open these up and find that little bugger, that tiny little guy. Let me see if you, this tiny little worm right there is the guy responsible for that. Anyway, bug control. The climbing hydrangea over here has flowers on it. I mean, early, just starting to open flowers. The one by the garage does not yet. Kind of, that hosta is going to get enormous over there. This part of the garden is the best in spring. This spring garden is just the best. Look at this gorgeous primrose. I'm so proud of myself for growing primroses. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do it, but look, gorgeous. Lots of stuff still to come up in here. There's a few plants in particular that I'm kind of waiting to see in here. They better come back. They're favorites. I have not dealt with the water bowl yet. I'm trying to, whatever, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to do with it right now because it's not full, obviously. I've been using this blue mouse ears as like a blue mouse ears hosta as like a ground cover. And I think it looks so good through here. I think this is Carex montana. I can't be positive about that, but it's mixed in. I love it mixed in with that. Then you come over here and we've got some lamium with it. There's even a little fern popping up there. We've got some trilliums coming up here, and I don't think I planted those there, which means they're spreading around, and I love it. I really like how that blue mouse ears hosta is looking. Then over here, this, you guys, I don't know the names of most hostas in this garden because in this specific garden, because I bought them all as plugs, like mostly unnamed, honestly, in many cases. But this is a particularly cool little one. This is like a little ground cover one that just sort of spreads around. It does get eaten by slugs quite badly, so it does look pretty shabby later in the year, but for now it looks great. I think a lot of people have been asking me about that hellebore. I think that hellebore might be, is White Diamonds a name of a hellebore? Because that might be it. The Uvularia grandis is flowering. So pretty. Shredded umbrella plant. The Solomon seal is flowering. I mean, just so gorgeous. And then you come back here and Aurelia Sun King is coming up, and it's so beautiful when it opens. Because look at how it's got these sort of like red pickety edges on it. So, and of course that will get huge. So beautiful. I think this is Dark Shadows hosta. One of my favorite hostas. Canadian ginger, fabulous, fabulous ground cover. One, maybe the only thing that can outcompete creeping bellflower. Here we have, look at this trillium. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. Focus, please. Look at that trillium. And it look with the like little like red blush on that hellebore there. It's like I planned it. Let's say I did. Brunnera blooming through here. We've got the maidenhair ferns just starting to open up. It's charming as heck over here. This is more primulas in there. It's lovely. I'm probably not gonna, there's not much to show you over there, so I won't go over there for now. I will show you over here. Well, that's tiny tough stuff, hydrangea. I replanted this area yesterday, so I think I told you guys I was going to get rid of the bobo hydrangeas, which got a little too big for this area. And by the way, some people offered to take them. Thank you very much for that. My sister-in-law did want them, so I gave them to her, and you know, family gets first opportunity. I replanted this area with eclipse hydrangeas, which are the dark-leafed one. And then this is, I just filled in around them with this Proven Winners Agastache. I don't anticipate I will need annuals mixed in with these in the long term, but certainly this year while they're getting established, they'll need to be there. And these look, you're gonna say these look kind of spindly, but here's something really nice about the way that specific plant looks. that is a plant that was overwintered in my area or an area near me, which means it's waking up on my schedule. That's what it should look like in my garden right now. When you get a plant that's like fully leafed out, that can be a hard transition for a plant, not to mention it just everything is off. So I think this is better for the plant and better for me, honestly, because they gotta baby them a lot more when they're fully leafed out. That is waking up on the right schedule for me. I did plant this yesterday. This is the only container that is planted for summer at this point, because it's not really summer. It's like 50 degrees here right now. But I did something very similar to what I did last year. I'd already showed you that I had done Golden Curls Willow in these planters again. I just really liked how it looked, so I did it again. And actually I used many of the same plants here that I used in here last year because I liked it so much. And I don't like to do that, but sometimes it's so good that I want to do it again. So I was able to find this verbena again. This is mango orange verbena, but to me it's a very coral color, and it happens to work very good with the coral pink sun patience. And then I put in a little bit of sweet flag, that's Ogon acarus, and then I used this Waikiki Sunset Lysomachia, which is the same family as Creeping Jenny, in there to get that nice chartreuse pop that you know I love. It's similar to last year. It's going to be fabulous. I did not harden those plants off before I put them out there, but it is what it is. So you're not going to believe it, but I am making progress on this plant pile. Things have been planted. It just doesn't look like it. And I'm making terrible progress on the trees, but I've got projects backed up right now. And that's the problem, is that like I can't plant the tree until I do the other thing, and I can't do the other thing until I do the thing before that. So, you know. Oh, I did get a couple of these though. This is this Stonehenge Dark Druid yew from Proven Winners. I know this sounds stupid because yew is a very common plant, but I really would like to grow a yew here. And they're beautiful plants. No, we're not drinking out of there. Go to your fountain. Sorry. Go to your fountain. We do have some of the dogwoods have their bracts open though. So this is green sleeves. And this has these beautiful, like, chartreusey green. They turn white as they age. And then actually over here, this is Scarlet Fire dogwood, and that too has bracts open that will just keep getting darker and darker. Those are ahead of schedule. I will show you the other, my Rosy Teacups dogwood in a second here. This is where I had the camera set up trying to catch the birds. I guess I can turn it off now because they won't be here when I'm here. Okay, this is like the plant haul of all plant hauls. I don't know how this all happened really. I don't really know. I'm just very happy. Proven Winter sent me these plants, so I mean, huge shout out to them. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to just have plants, to be able to plant them in the quantity you want to, and have them like here, so I don't have to run to the garden center every time I need something. I am humbled and thankful. That's what I will say about that. The bluebells are still filling in this garden. So these bluebells, they'll be done flowering this week. And when they're done flowering, I will just break off the stems and take them out, and that'll be the end of it. They don't care. They come back every year with no problem. They don't care. They're just the best little spring ephemeral ever, as far as I'm concerned. I did want to, yes, that's a dead boxwood. Yes, my dog killed it by peeing on it. That's Isla Gold Tansy right there. I planted that one last year. Isn't she a beaut? Oh, and around it, you guys, this is Amazing Gray Shirley Poppy, which I grew from seed in cells and planted out, and they are looking good, and I am excited about that. This is, if you saw my unboxing video, this is the key lime stackies. You can see it's been through some things. Some of those leaves look not great, but look, there's plenty of good new foliage coming. So that's probably at the top of my list for most exciting new plant this year, but that could change. Oh, here, I was going to show you this. So this is my rosy teacups dogwood. And you can see it's nowhere near where we're at with the other one. So this is, I'm going to ask it to focus, please. This is where we're at. So there are a little, I mean, they're just starting to open here. So hopefully we'll have a good flower show. I never really know, but 2 years ago it was amazing. Last year, less so. So I'm wondering if we're on like an every other year situation. There is a whole video coming out about this plant in a couple of days. No, well, not a whole video about this plant, but where I talk about this plant. But we cannot walk by this without admiring. Now, it's cold and not sunny, so the flower is a little bit closed right now, but this is Scrumdiddlyumptious. Oh, I gotta get that pink tape off it. Edo Peony. You guys, this flower is just, let me try to like pry it open so you can kind of see in there. To die for. Oh my gosh. Isley, that came from Isley Nursery. It had 4 buds. Oh, there's 5 buds on it now. I mean, so excited about it. Love it. Yeah, I think that's that. There's more to show you, but I talked about it in a whole video where I didn't record the audio, so you're gonna have to wait, I guess. I'll just quickly show you this side. The hostas are coming up nicely over here. The Nepida's coming up nicely. The tiny quickfires are slow, but we talked about that last week, how that's their whole thing. They're less vigorous because they're smaller. This is what is it? Blood? Oh my God. Can't remember the name of anything today. Blood stem? You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the leaves are cool. And back there, we could use a little attention back there. We've got some of that, I think it's the native Solomon seal kind of running around a little, taking over. I definitely see some garlic mustard weed, but we do have this beautiful gold heart Dicentra, which is not Dicentra anymore. And you know, evergreens are so pretty at this time of year. You know, all the new growth coming out. I do love evergreens in spring when they're all fresh and pretty. Oh, and this garden is actually filling up quite nice compared to last week now that I look at it. Some more blue mouse ears in here, by the way. We talked about that hosta, again, don't know what it is. Really cool right now, gets all eaten by slugs. This is Prince Charming Solomon seal. It's a dwarf Solomon seal. That's about as tall as it gets. It's a great little ground cover, and it's finally kind of taking over in here. I don't need to take over, but it's doing well. And then Autumn Frost hosta, all gold. Heckenlachloa. Looks good.